Hey, so we all know how the stop and frisk went in New York City. So what they decided to do was over-police poor people, turn them all into criminals. And meanwhile, the whole goddamn world economy is being raped a couple blocks away on Wall Street. Not a goddamn thing happening. But we're over-policing the Bronx. And
hey, in fairness, Jimmy, somebody somewhere might be selling a cigarette. We don't know. NYPD's on patrol.
Bloomberg said that this is true. Mayor Bloomberg, who was a big proponent of stop and frisk, said that stop and frisk saved a lot of lives, mostly black lives. Really, Mayor? Did it save them? Did stop and frisk save black people's lives the way slavery saved them money? Because that's what it sounds like. So that hasn't stopped, by the way. So they're over policing, because this is what most recently what happened is, see this young man, his name is Ramar Perkins. He jumped a turnstile in New York City, 275 to ride the subway. Mm-hmm. He jumps a turnstile. Cops catch him, and then he escapes after they nab him, and then he gets away from them. And what did they do? Well, here, I'll just read to you from the Village Voice. It says, when 16-year-old Ramar Perkins escaped police officers who were trying to arrest him for jumping a subway turnstile in Brownsville last week, the NYPD scrambled an all-night manhunt, complete with helicopters. Helicopters for a kid who jumped a turnstile. Complete with helicopters. The mobilization was eventually called off when Perkins turned himself in to the precinct 4.5 hours later.
He felt bad for those guys.
I bet he did.
Like, you guys are trying so... You know what? Here,
come on,
here. I got 3 ones. Keep the change.
Yeah. Right? Less than a $3 violation. An all-out effort... but the incident, an all-out effort to catch a boy who skipped out on a $2.75 fare, makes for a pretty tidy illustration of what policing in New York City looks like in 2016.
It's amazing that they even cared. The first time I went to New York City, I was in college, and I remember there were these people like in the subway, and it was my first time in the big city, right? I was in New York for the first time. I was like on some business trip with some organization in college. And what they actually did, there were a few people at the subway. Whenever I would start to go, they'd be like, we can both get in. And they would just like kind of get up under my coat and go in with me. And I didn't know what they were trying to do. I mean, I caught on, but I just let them because they weren't bothering me. They weren't trying to, hurt me or whatever.
You don't want trouble.
I was a naive kid. So I was like, sure, come on. I got this.
Really?
I got this pass. Yeah. The school paid for my pass. So I was an enabler. And little did I know I could have been chased by a helicopter, right?
The full force of the NYPD is going to come down on your ass.
I got lucky, Jimmy.
So why do I bring this up? Well, just because that's good enough to bring up. That's God, unbelievable. Meanwhile, the people who ordered torture to cover up an illegal war, not even a hearing. They even have a hearing in Congress about that. But we got a kid who jumped a turnstile.
Yeah, all that effort.
Same city, they choked a guy. They choked a guy in broad daylight. The same city, they choked him to death as he screamed, "I can't breathe." Nobody prosecuted this kid. They got a helicopter out for him.
Helicopter. It cost about $200 to $300 for a helicopter ride. His offense, $2.75.
Yeah.
Not big on math there. I don't know what the budget's doing, but it can't be great. I don't know.
So, and we've in the book, Your Country's Just Not That Into You. In the book, Your Country is Just Not That Into You. We talked about this. We talked about how over-policed poor people are, or black and brown people who are poor in New York City are over-policed, right? We all know the real crime happening is committed by guys wearing $2,000 suits. But believe me, they start stopping and frisking people on Wall Street. First of all, every one of them has coke on them, so they'd all be going to jail. But that would end right away. They would stop and frisk one guy. They'd find coke on him. He'd call his political guy that he bought. They would call the alderman, the city councilman, and he would call the police guy. That guy would get fired for stop and frisking that Wall Street guy. And that would end immediately. immediately. So, because that's how that stuff works. That's how that stuff works. Rich guys know the powerful people in government, and that's how this works because they give them money.
Well, it blows my mind it was this extensive in a place like New York City, too, because I think what this comes down to is just an over-fascination from law enforcement by the toys that they have.
Oh.
Like, when stuff started going down, like with Ferguson, the one thing you saw in the press was these towns of 9,000 people that have a tank. What do you need a tank for, other than to set up a situation where some officer's going to get drunk and make a really dumb decision? You don't need
Drunk
a
with
tank.
power.
Yeah, drunk with power. You're going to make a bad decision. I mean, I think this was just one of those things like, he ran. We can't have that. You know what? I've been dying. I took a few lessons. Let's get the copter.
Rod, I'm with you. Here, there's more to this story.